Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I have a gentleman with me who is a brilliant scientist, engineer, and has done many things, Ray Caamano, and am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Thank you for joining me today. And before we get started on KLD, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
I'm pretty much a self-taught engineer. Got out of high school a little early and I had a business at that time to fixing and repairing Volkswagens. So I did that for several years, learned a lot about mechanics. I've come from a long line of mechanics and machinists, and ended up living and learning in an environment that had all kinds of mechanical things going on all the time. So and I progressed from that into buying property, building homes, and did that for a while, and then did a few technology startups as well, and KLD being somewhere around the third technology startup that I've done.
And you're a Bay Area person originally?
Yes,
or
I
from
am.
somewhere
I was
else?
Born in Marin County, and first year of my life went to Cupertino, and then stayed in South San Jose, and now I live up by Mount Madonna.
Nice, nice. And your R&D is down in Morgan Hill, and
Yes,
your
it is.
offices are in Austin.
Yes.
And so, how did you get involved with KLD? What was the creative or the light that kind of came on, and you guys developed this?
Well, for me personally, I've been involved in high efficiency motor technology since probably like the mid 80s. So I've been doing this almost 30 years, utilizing new materials breakthroughs in motors, and I have quite a few patents in motors. Just very interested in how we can use less energy to do more things. And
we're going to bring up the first slide here, who's, I think this one's of your team, yeah, and then there's the map of, one of your graphic people sent this to me, and it was a lot better than my map of the United States, and you've got the two locations, and of course the green, wearing your green today.
Thank you.
So you and the other founder worked together originally?
Yes.
And so
we were working together in a product development company that had I had worked for that was out here in Oakland, and then the boss had moved it to his home state of Texas, and I came to Texas every week on the Nerdbird out of San Jose International, and I used to commute to Austin, Texas every week. And then I met Christian, who's our CEO at this technology startup. It was for consumer products, and that's how we kind of formed a relationship, and he became aware of my motor patents and technology. And when he left that startup, he approached me, hey, I'd really like to do something with your motors and your patents, and so we formed a relationship and eventually formed KLD Energy.
And so he's still there?
Yes.
And you're here?
Yes.
And I'm really interested in the technology. It's things that are going to, I think, change the way we drive, the way we go places. And we were at Costco this morning, and we were looking at how they're putting in where BART's going to be, and there's got to be different things that we do for commuting.
Right.
And so the sustainable propulsion I'm not even going to say it right. Propulsion technology
Right.
Is one of the things. Do you want to talk about that and explain that to us? And
yeah. Well, in every vehicle, I mean, there's that feeling of what is it that pushes you? Something's pushing you. So that feeling, that is called the propulsion technology, and that is the thing that consumes energy, whether it be a motor system, the battery, motor controllers, and those are so that's the system that we focused on, because I saw personally a great deal of improvement that was available to us by utilizing some of the breakthroughs in material sciences that have happened in the last maybe 50 years. So even in traditional electric cars, even the ones that look brand new today that we see on the road, still are using 100-year-old motor technology that was patented over 100 years ago. So what KLD's technology is something quite a bit newer than that, utilizing thin film core materials, neodymium magnets, some breakthroughs that have happened in material sciences are incorporated in our motors, which makes us a little different than everybody else.
And it's interesting because the electric vehicles used to be, that's kind of the starting point, and then now it's back to it again. So it's kind of full circle that it's like, oh, maybe we should have stuck with this, right?
Yeah. Well, at the time, at the turn of the century, there was really not a way to have a lot of energy stored in batteries. And where gasoline and liquid fuels offered a lot more energy density, a lot more longer distances that you could drive. So that's why we eventually migrated over in the early part of the century to liquid fuels. But now we've seen, the downfall or in some of the downside of liquid fuels, and there's many of them, and we consume quite a bit, over 20 million barrels a day here in the United States. And there's geopolitical implications, there's environmental implications, and there's the question of how long is it going to last. So we need to do something new.
So let's pull up the next slide now, and so explain this here.
Well, this is the three components of the propulsion technology. Over on the left there you have the battery, which is a Samsung cell battery with lithium. Quite a bit of energy in that box there. To the right, the green thing is the motor controller. It's the electronic brain that actually takes the energy from the battery and makes that big thing in the middle with the two round shiny things. Those things turn the wheels. And so the combination of those things is a suite of the system, as we call it, the thing that pushes the vehicle down the road, all three pieces together.
Cool, we'll pull that down. So now you're changing then propulsion technology a little bit from how it's been used in the past, and can you explain that in the application with the auto industry and electric vehicles?
With our technology, the emphasis is on what is the most extreme efficiency that we can achieve. And what I decided a long time ago, in being involved in solar car racing, that was where all the new technology was happening. In 1996, I actually went to Australia for the World Solar Challenge with one of my motors, and it was a tremendous learning experience about, what does it really take to be as efficient? What's the cutting edge of efficiency? And what it really is all the wheels, all the motors were, driving the wheels directly in those cars. And so I made a decision. I was going to make a motor that would drive the wheels directly. But also, what was even unique about the time I was there in 1996 is I was the only inventor that had actually utilized breakthrough in some of the materials that are in the motor, more than anybody else that was in Australia at the time. So I knew I had a proprietary edge, and so my history in motors has been exploiting these peak, very high efficiency breakthroughs in material science in motors to give us the ultimate in efficiency. The ultimate efficiency in the motor means the battery gets smaller, the cost of the battery is smaller, we do more with less essentially. It's a lot like the approach of LED lighting for your home. You cut your power consumption significantly for your lighting by switching to LED, and you will cut your power consumption significantly for your vehicle if you switch to KLD technology. I
was just at an electric vehicle meetup group recently, and I have to introduce you to the guy that chairs that. I think he's very interested in having you speak at that. And they were talking about alternators and how that really sucks up a lot of the energy too. And that's another topic. But let's bring up the next slide here. So we have two more slides that I wanted to bring up with the last question. Now this here is, you're somewhere demonstrating something. What is that there?
These are some of the modular components of the system. Of course, to the left you might recognize that blue box as being the Samsung battery, but the open thing with all those little segmented pieces in it, that's one of our magnet rotors. Okay. And that is the piece is part of the whole motor system. To the right there, the thing that I'm touching is the stator plate and stator blocks. So we have a modular motor system, the only one of its kind that we know of, that if you need more power, you can just add more blocks to the system. So and
there were some helmets there. So you guys were doing racing?
Yeah, we have an open car, like a go-kart that has, it's not bigger than a go-kart, it's kind of like
I drove in it, it was very fun.
Yeah, it's like the size of an ATV that we have one of our smaller drive systems in, so just so people can see it and experience it. So we recommend wearing a helmet when you drive that.
Let's bring up another slide too, which I think also is another, so this is also at a trade show, and we're kind of looking at them not open now, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we have we have a suite of the technology. The thing with the wheel on it is our scooter motor system, which is essentially using the same components. All the motor systems use the same components.
The one to the right?
The one in the middle with the fins on it, that actually is a motorcycle drive or a scooter drive. And we have many of those being sold today. in Asian countries for propulsion for scooters, which is one of their primary forms of transport.
So the generation system, tell us more about that, and what uses is it being used in right now? And
well, there's two forms of that. One of every one of our motors is a generation system. So instead of applying brakes, of course, it goes into a regenerative mode. So if you're going down a hill or you're slowing down, the motor actually flips into a generator electronically and slows you down and puts energy back in the battery. And so we get a lot more range out of our vehicles by doing that, and we don't have any gears in the system. So other vehicles do this, but we get a lot more energy back than most because we don't have any gears. And then we also are working on some high efficiency diesel generator systems that also use the same motor generator technology and are very compact and highly efficient for the power they deliver.
Now there was one, I believe, it would go like 100 miles with like a supplement of a little bit of gas?
Yes, so it's a little bit of diesel, and it's a very efficient European diesel coupled with one of our motor generators, and that being incorporated into the full vehicle system of the size and type that we're working with would at least yield about 100 to 120 mpg.
So the website says Advanced Battery Management System, BMS,
yes,
provides manufacturing with turnkey solutions and electric propulsion programs.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, one of the big concern with lithium batteries and vehicle propulsion is there's a lot of energy stored. So it's very important that we do it safely. And especially in our scooter, we use the same batteries in our scooter. So we use a multiplicity of the same batteries in vehicles.
I think if we bring up the next slide, we'll have a picture of the scooter right now. Is that the scooter?
No, that's our open chassis.
Buggy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in any event, that's got 2 of those batteries in it. So we just use a multiplicity of the same components if we're in 2-wheel or 4-wheel. But in any event, the battery management system has an element of very much focus on safety. So there's quite a few elements of it. One of the things about batteries in electric vehicles is that their power is always connected. So if something comes across the cables, you have something that can cause a fire or a problem for first responders. Just the other week, a Tesla chassis burned to the ground on the side of the road. So those kind of things kind of things can happen. What we have in our battery is what we call a power ask feature. So
say the ask
so if there's an impact to the vehicle, the power's cut, nothing comes out of the battery. If there's something that the computer says isn't safe about that system, then it'll shut the power off. So there's no battery delivered to the terminals unless the computer says it's okay to do so.
So the ask function, the ask key or ask function is part of that battery management system?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And that's proprietary to you guys?
Yes, it is.
So when people want to know about that, they need to contact you? And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's very clever.
Yeah, so when the vehicle's sitting there, there's no current on any of the wires that are in the battery, or if it ever got hit, it would immediately shut off faster than just immediately with the impact.
And you guys have some of these products right now sold in Korea, China?
We have a big customer in Malaysia that's using it for vehicle deliveries for KFC, McDonald's, Pizza Hut. They use these scooters that have our propulsion system to deliver food. So there's quite a few companies over there using them for that. And we also have vehicle manufacturers that manufacture in China but distribute all over the world now using our battery and our motor system.
Well, a little kind of golf cart / truck. We'll see a photo of it in a little bit here,
okay.
But that was really fun to drive in, and it was quick. And
yeah, you and I had a little fun in that, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I think we saw a police officer going by us, and it was like, oh no, we're good. We're going slow.
Yeah.
So why is it your company is doing what you're doing, and the sustainable aspect of it? Talk about that and the green components to it.
Well, here in the U.S., we waste about 75% of all the energy that we bring into the system. And the biggest area of opportunity for that, making that picture better, is in transportation. That's where the biggest amount of waste occurs. It's occurring in many places, but that's by far the biggest place we can make the best gains. And a lot of our customers in the Asian countries, they're not concerned with the big F-150 pickups and so forth. They drive pickups a lot like the little one that you saw. And so, and that's a great opportunity, great fit for coming from the bottom up with electric vehicles.
So my trip to Costco today, the toilet paper and everything would have just been roped on the back.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a decent sized bed, you know, and if you had a camper shell, you'd have plenty of room to haul stuff in it.
Yeah.
But you know, looking how to move, you know, people more efficiently, you know, one of the considerations is just making the vehicles smaller and lighter, more aerodynamic, and much more efficient in terms of their propulsion system.
Well, it's a great little system. There's a couple of people that live downtown here that drive their golf carts around,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's great. I mean, if you just have to go to the grocery store around the corner, or
Right.
you know, what have you, it's a perfect little vehicle.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Now for us, I mean, our golf cart, however, is a little different, that it does, you know, like 55 miles an hour. So, you know, it's not quite freeway speeds, but it certainly is highway speeds. And if you drive around even at Morgan Hill, you know, you get in a lot of anywhere but on the freeway, you certainly don't want people, you know, up behind you trying to tell you to get out of the way. And none of our vehicles have that problem. So that's a little different. But a lot of them are small enough for, in the States, they're not crash tested. So the markets for those are more Europe. You know, Europe has quadricycle classifications that allow you to do 50, 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour without crash testing, to try to encourage a lot of these newer, more efficient vehicles to hit the road. This crash testing is a multi-million-dollar, multi-year you know, approach to getting a vehicle on the road.
Let's bring up the next two slides, which I think are going to be, yeah, so this is what we were talking about right here.
Yes.
And this is your team at a trade show with those great green shoes. Let's bring the next one up too. And then this is kind of a close-up of the front, and then you can see the whole back of it. So you can kind of see that it is pretty deep. And yeah, definitely we could have gotten all my Costco stuff in there today.
So I guess you might see the Volkswagen mechanic coming through in this little vehicle. I was sad to hear that they were retiring the Combi, you know, but I said, well, heck with that. We're not going to retire the Combi yet.
So what's been the biggest challenge for you guys, and how have you overcome it? I mean, it's a great company. You guys have been around a while, and we actually have a guest here today that we found out was an investor in it early on, so pretty interesting. What's been the biggest challenge, and how have you guys overcome that?
You know, primarily two fronts. You know, keeping the investment capital flowing while we're mounting and facing technical challenges. And so I got to hand it to our financial team. They've done a fantastic job. I think we have somewhere around 350, you know, angel investors that have brought us this far, and you know, I'm just so grateful to all of them. So getting that many of them together, getting them on board is a tremendous thing. That's
great. Yeah.
And also just, you know, just facing the technological challenges, and you know, the time and money spent to get to where we are. But you know, now after a long development cycle, we are, you know, shipping product, which is a wonderful thing, and it's onwards and upwards from here.
So what's been the biggest win or accolade then to this point for you guys?
You know, I mean, in the initial stages, the motor was ready a lot earlier than the battery system, since I'd been working primarily in that field for a longer period of time. And you know, we had motors that were hitting 60 miles an hour on a scooter. That was a pretty big fulfillment point for me, and all those years in motors and my special designs and all of that. It was far faster than anything else was happening with direct drive motors in those type of vehicles. And then the next thing I think is as we brought a battery team on just recently, the success of our new battery with the Samsung cells is fantastic, and all the safety certifications that we achieved on that was a very big milestone for the company.
So have you been working with student engineers? And you talked about the solar challenge. Are you going to go back and do that? And are you looking for, you know, students to help and interns? And
I would love to. One year in 1996, I was a part of the Stanford UC Berkeley solar car racing team, and we did end up getting a vehicle to Australia, which is no small feat. And it's very rare that you see Stanford and UC Berkeley actually cooperating, but we did that, and we got it there, and it was one of the top 5 cars that was there, and got a lot of great Silicon Valley contributors, including SunPower. And it was a wonderful experience, and a lot of, you know, students were really at that time. Some of the guys now are working for Tesla or, you know, other technology companies, but it really goes to show that that kind of community involvement with young students and cutting edge technology can turn out the, you know, the pioneers and engineers and scientists of our future.
so speaking of the future, if you could look into a crystal ball and look at the future of the transportation and energy space, What do you see? What do you see coming up? Or can you talk about that?
Yeah, no,
Will you have to kill us if you tell us?
No, not at all. In a general sense, I think that the big challenge that we're going to face as we convert more of our vehicles to electric is the amount of energy available to charge them. Our grids are not really sized to take on the whole transportation piece of our energy equation. So the things that we're doing at KLD are taking approach to, how efficient, how aerodynamic, how much energy can we collect from solar to power vehicles. We don't really see that right now. We see them plugging into charge stations, and some of the charge stations are solar powered, but we're really, with these smaller vehicles and the low power consumption numbers that we look at, we're within a stone's throw of powering most of our personal transport by solar energy, be it generated on your house at home or even generated off of cells that are actually on the car. Really bringing life to the whole idea of the solar car racing that started some years ago. They're now sustaining speeds of about 100 kilometers an hour on sunlight alone, albeit those are race cars. The possibility really does exist that we will not have to tap the grid much if we adopt the right type of vehicles, and that's the real focus that I have in the vehicle space.
Let's bring up slide 8 here, and I think this is, so this is some of the products then right now that you have out there live. Do you want to tell me what the 3 are?
Yes, so the one on the left, the open car, is just a way for us to show people, the propulsion system, what it looks like under the skin, so to speak. The middle vehicle is actually going to mass production as we speak. It is a high-speed utility vehicle. It's capable of speeds of about 55 miles an hour, and it's about 1,000 kilogram gross vehicle weight. And then the one to the right is something we've been working on a bit longer, and that is a scooter with our propulsion system, and it's about a 55 mile an hour vehicle as well.
I want to put an order in for the one to the left.
Okay, okay.
We can pull that down. So is there something that the community can help? This is a question I always ask. Is there something the community can help with? Do you need people to blog about you? Do you need, intern, Starbucks certificates for interns? What are your needs right now? What are you guys looking from the community to have or to get?
Well, I think awareness is one of the big things, and I really thank you for bringing the awareness about this subject. And we have events in the future, and with our director, John Batista, one of our directors, he's really in touch with a lot of our community outreach programs, and we'd be happy to stay in contact with you about what events we might have planned in the future. But so on the horizon at the moment, I don't see much more than a couple more vehicle shows we have going on. But in terms of the needs from the community, I'm just really happy to be on this channel and have some time to share this.
So let's bring that slide up really quick and take it down, and then we'll bring the next one up. So this is our community slide, and people can get hold of you with any of the questions they have. And then this is, you guys are at a trade show in China?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. So we have a decent presence in China, presence, and the issue, why we're get such mass acceptance there.
And this is another one here too.
Yes, is they really have a lot higher population density than we do, and they're really suffering a lot more from burning fuels than we are. So they're really motivated to find a solution, and very, very much right in the mainstream of their market space with the products that we have.
So you guys do some annual events.
Yes.
We'd love to do a meetup with you, and maybe we can do with the EV event. I think there's one more slide. Let's pull that up. And yeah, so this is another. Is this here in the U.S. a trade show too, or? Yes,
that trade show was in Arizona. That was the Green Fleet Show, and we just did that show. It was very successful.
Green Fleet Show. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and so we're just learning how many municipalities and companies that really want a lot of these little trucks. So they're just we just got to make a lot of them now. So our partner Centro is now moving into a mass production mode for the truck, as well as we are for the propulsion system.
Yeah, I think Sustainable or Silicon Valley Leadership Group had an electric vehicle event that they did, but it wasn't an annual event. It seems like every 2 or 3 years they do it. So that would be a good one for you guys to look into.
Okay.
What's the one thing that you guys want people to remember about you, about the company?
Just remember that we are working on the problem, and the problem being that we are very inefficient right now, and we will increase our efficiency as a nation, and that will improve our economy, improve our standards of living, and that's what KLD is really driving towards. Imagine recapturing that 75% waste of energy. Imagine how powerful, how viable we can become as an economic superpower once again. You know.
Is there any future plans that you want to talk about, or any other engineering projects that you want to talk about that you're tinking with, or is that another one that we can't really talk about?
Well, no, we could talk about it. Obviously, my passion in solar car racing is I'm really yet to materialize the propulsion system really into an array of vehicles that have tremendously good airflow.
Will they bring that here, the solar car races at all? Or?
You know, I don't really know. I know that I think it's about every 4 years they have a race in Australia. It's actually happening as we speak, I believe, this month.
That would be fun to go to.
But it's every 4 years, so it's a big, you know, it's a big thing. But there was a Sun Race USA a couple times, but it didn't turn out to be annual.
Other things you like to do in your spare time, engineering-wise?
I'm an old camper builder, I guess you might say. Motorhomes, RVs, and I have one now that's only 4,000 pounds. It's 22 feet.
Wow!
It's all aluminum, and it's an extremely light vehicle, and that's one of my. So my passion in business is as much as my passion as a hobby as well.
All right, I have an old camper you can work on.
Okay, okay.
I'm thinking I'm just going to give it to the church, though. It's like a ¡79 camper van that we bought off my aunt for $1.
Oh, really?
And I was like, we'll be lucky if we make it to Santa Cruz and back in that thing.
Well, I hope mine will be a little more reliable.
Putting some new wood panel in it, and you know, anyway.
Yeah.
So is there any last thoughts for the audience that you want to leave them with, too?
Well, yeah, I would really encourage everyone to think about our future and where we can be when we start to really implement these type of efficient things on a mass scale, and hold that vision, because it's that vision that'll bring about that reality.
Well, thank you so much. To the audience, follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We have a new sponsor now, the Sports Basement, that's going to be hosting our meetup groups. So take a look there. We have something coming up, and hopefully every month at least something there, and we've got some winery things coming up. Make this a great TAGS week by conserving, reusing, and rethinking the way you choose to live here in Silicon Valley and beyond. And thank you so much, Ray, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hope you'll come.